So everything goes downhill, right? And of course, we care more about people than we care about material goods. But I just want you guys to let that sink in for a minute as we go into this lesson, right? We take so much of this for granted. And when there is a little hiccup like this, then we really notice how much we miss certain things when we don't have that anymore. And so, not it wasn't all like that though. I mean, we've come a long way since the Silk Road, right? But I want you to understand how we got there. And back then, people did not have Amazon to plop things on their doorstep just like that, right? And so I just wanted to get you guys thinking about that process. And so, going back to the Silk Road, the original Silk Road, it actually was developed under the Tang Dynasty in the 7th century by the or under the Emperor Wu of Han, which is very fascinating because think about the name for a minute. Emperor Wu of Han. Just think about it for a minute. Where have you heard that name recently? Emperor Wu of Han. What was the first hotspot of the pandemic? Wuhan, right? Just an interesting connection. And so the Silk Road, of course, got its name from the fabric that is made of or is made by silkworms. So the silkworms make the material that is woven to make the silk. And it was very popular back then and it was in very high demand, right? So high demand and the Chinese people needed to figure out how can they get the silk from point A to point B because it was in such high demand all across their part of the world. And so it was also a closely guarded secret here. Or it was a closely guarded secret in China. And even today, silk is still pretty valuable. I mean, when you go to Joann Fabric and you look at the silk there, it's pretty expensive by the yard. It is a very high maintenance fabric too, which makes it which makes at least me appreciate it even more. And so it's interesting because after doing some of this research, and I'm looking at my notes here and I'm talking to you at the same time, I was actually surprised at just how long the trade route actually was. And the Silk Road started in Xi'an in China and it ended in Antioch in Greece. And so that's a very big route. And the reason why I know how to pronounce this as a side note is that my sister-in-law actually helped me with the pronunciations of the words that I was not familiar with when I was reading things about China. So she actually can speak some Mandarin, and I was very happy that she was able to help me. So shout out to her on that. And so anyway, back to the Silk Road. um, the Silk Road actually also had very many geographical obstacles that the merchants faced, including mountain ranges and deserts like the Gobi and the Taklamakan deserts. And so, only were there people there that traded the goods, but they also traded ideas. So, there not only were materials and ideas, but then, of course, when there were valuable goods like that, guess what? There were also robbers there too. So not only were there geographical obstacles, but there were robbers that were waiting for them to take and to steal the valuable goods from the merchants. So they had to watch out for that as well as the deserts and mountain ranges and things like that. So it was a very dangerous job to get the silk from point A to point B. And so go ahead and go to the next slide.